Vapes and e-cigarettes were first developed nearly 20 years ago in 2003 by a Chinese pharmacist named Han Lik. They were initially developed to be a healthier alternative to traditional cigarette usage. But despite his efforts to try to make smoking quote unquote healthier, the opposite ended up being true. Vaping may have been seen as a positive in 2003, mostly because of its lack of tar in the products. But as time has gone on and more research has been done, it has actually been proven that vapes and e cigarettes are just as bad or even worse than traditional cigarette usage. The main reason that vaping is just as bad as cigarette usage is because they replaced the bad stuff that was in traditional cigarettes with equally bad stuff that is almost the same negative effects as traditional cigarettes. Some of the harmful ingredients are ultra-fine particles that can be inhaled into the lungs, diacetyl, which is the flavoring in vape products that have been linked to serious lung disease, and have even heavy metals such as nickel, tin, and lead. They also have higher levels of nicotine, so they are much more addicting, and because of their sweet flavors, they have been heavily marketed towards teenagers and young adults. This is how I decided my target audience for this project, which is college freshmen. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, 33% of college students use tobacco products, including vapes and e cigarettes. When I saw the statistic, it helped me decide the intent of my campaign, which is to help college freshmen stop vaping. When looking into how to start putting this campaign together, I found a lot of data that explains how using comedy in campaigns really helps to get the point across and also gets eyes on what is being put out. In a research study by Moon J. Lee at the University of Florida, data showed that people were more likely to retain and react to information if it was shown in a comedic light, which resulted in a more effective health campaign. This was very helpful when I was creating my health campaign, and I used that information throughout the entirety of my campaign. So, the first part of my campaign was my flyer. For this element of my campaign, I was trying to think about something that college freshmen really care about, and it hit me. They care about sex. According to an article by the 7 Days Vermont online newspaper, 83% of college students are having sex on a regular basis, and using that information, I decided to apply it to my campaign flyer. Knowing that a majority of college students are having sex showed me that it is something that they care about. So when I created my flyer, I decided to use it as the main theme. In a study on the NCBI website titled The Effects of E-Cigarette Vapor Components on the Morphology and Function of the Male and Female Reproductive System, a systematic review, the data collected showed that the use of vapes has a negative effect on the male reproductive system and specifically lowers sperm count. And this is how I really narrowed down my theme for my flyer, because if freshman males care so much about sex, then they should care about things that affect them having sex. With my design, I decided to make a graveyard of sperm that was coming out of the vape with a caption saying, "Vaping makes you have less little swimmers," because swimmers is a funny way to say sperm, and I thought my target audience would agree. When I got my critiques back about my flyer, the main thing that I had to fix was the fact that it was kind of dull and colorless. So I added some colors and made it look more like this. It's a little bit of a change, but I thought that adding a little bit more colors and keeping the background kind of dark to keep that dark theme that the sperm were dying was kind of a good thing to keep. But to finish off my flyer, I decided to put it in dorms and floors that are predominantly male populated, and also put them in bathrooms of those floors. So the next part of my campaign was my social media message. For this part of my campaign, I really wanted to use the comedy technique that I mentioned earlier to get my point across. My first draft of my message looked like this, with the caption saying, "This is how you look when you hit a vape, hashtag stop the vape." And when I got my feedback, this is the one that needed the most work. The picture ended up being really blurry, but the bigger problem was that the message didn't really make sense, so I kind of had to start over on this one. So I used a fairly popular meme to explain my message in a comedic way, and the caption, this is the meme that I made, and the caption was, "Vaping not only has a negative effect on things like depression symptoms to be elevated, start the conversation, stop vaping. According to the Truth Initiative, vaping can worsen symptoms of depression," and this is the main information that I used to get my point across in this section, to really touch on the fact that vaping affects one's mental health. To finish my social media message, the social media platform that it would be on would be Instagram, and it would be an advertisement so people wouldn't have to follow a page to see it, and it can just come kind of get to their eye without them having to do work to get to it. The last element of my campaign was the script. This section of my campaign that is actually needed the least amount of changes. I tried to really make this section of my campaign relatable by having two college roommates talking and bring up the fact about vaping and depression symptoms that I talked about in my social media message from the Truth Initiative. The only changes that I really had to make into this section were a few grammar changes. I tried to make it kind of relatable by using words like man and dude in it, but as I got my information back or critique back, and then I looked at it myself, I realized that I really only used the word man, so I had to go take out a few of those and make some few grammar corrections. But other than that, that one turned out really well. But overall, vaping is something that is very harmful to everyone, but vapes are used very heavily by college freshmen. Sadly, not all college freshmen know the negative effects of vaping, and I hope that all of the information that I have gathered to put out in ways that they will comprehend the best and help them understand how they are hurting themselves and help them to stop. Thank you.